my roots do go way back because most of my ancestors on my dad's side of the family are all buried in our church cemetery. I was actually born during the Great Depression years, and back then everything was, I would say it was, you didn't have much. Everybody had a very little bit. The only beings that grew up on a farm, the one thing we did have was milk from the cows, eggs from the hens, and vegetables from the garden. I always say that in a way I was born into this church. Both my parents were members of this church. I was born on October the 5th, 1926. However, our church records record that I was baptized in the summer of 1926, which apparently couldn't happen because I wasn't born until October. My given name is John Homer Remsburg Jr., but I've always been called and given the name of Jack Remsburg. My mother was Abby McCardle, who was a first cousin of Clara McCardle. My dad met her and she was a city girl, and they got married. She became Abby McCardle Remsburg. And she was a longtime Sunday school teacher in this church. And my dad was senior choir director for over 30 years. I was confirmed in our church after my baptism, of course. And our 4 daughters, with which we had 4, were also baptized, confirmed, and married in this church. I tell the story about the fact that over time I walked 6 young ladies down the aisle of this church to be married. 4 daughters and 2 granddaughters. Today they are still married and all have families of their own. I left for college in 1947, and in my junior year I met a city girl, which is the love of my life, Marcia Ellis, and I brought her to our church and to our way of country life, which she has always enjoyed. We have enjoyed 68 years of wonderful life together. We were married on May 30th, 1951, the same week that I graduated from college. I was graduating from college in 1 week. I'll put this back a little different. In 1 week at the University of Maryland, I graduated from college, I got married, and I was called to active military duty during the Korean War, which, needless to say, was a busy week. After 2 years of military duty and overseas deployment, the Korean War ended and we returned to our dairy farm in 1953, and more little girls seemed to show up. Our daughters grew up on our dairy farm, and the one thing they found was that cows do not take off on weekends. They just don't do that. Our hired help was given every other Sunday off, and on those every other Sundays, my dad and the girls and I did all the farm work. Milked the cows, got up early, 5 o'clock in the morning, got up, milked the cows, back to the house, and where we would eat breakfast and get ready for Sunday school. Marcia would have the breakfast ready and the clothes laid out for the girls, where they all got dressed, and had to be in my dad's car by 9:25, and no excuses. So basically, that's a synopsis of my days.
That's incredible.
Well, the biggest changes, I think two that stand out in my mind are the fact when they changed the position of the choir in the front of the church. The choir used to stand directly behind the altar and in front of the organ pipes. Now the choir are on the sides, and instead of the organ pipes, we get a beautiful view of the gold cross that hangs behind, right where everybody can see, right in the middle of the church there behind the altar, which is quite an improvement from looking at organ pipes. So it has, over the years, has been more of a beautiful sight for the front of our church. The other is big improvements. I guess it's an improvement, but it's a lot of people have loved it, is when Mark Wakefield started the early 8:15 church service. And this gives everyone a choice of which service to attend, if they want to go early or they want to go late. The downside is so many are not able to meet and mingle with the group. Some come early, some go late. However, there are opportunities to do so in different functions. And there probably are some other changes, but they're the two major ones that I can relate to. The future of the church, that is a tough question. We're living in a fast-changing world, and I believe our leaders are doing their very best to keep up with those times, which is a great job in itself. But we must rely on our key values and keep our trust in God. What motivates me to give back to our church is our dedication to our church and our dedication to the members to just to make the church viable and continue to be a great part of our lives. I think that is very important.